Oh, look, another photo of me. Excuse me. All right.
Hold on.
I've been so unbelievably impressed with the community that Rachel has built. I've joined a number of her events, workshops in Mexico, meetups in Austin, and I gotta say, y'all show up big time, so bravo. This is amazing to see here. I'm gonna talk about what I see is opportunity in a time of uncertainty. I know that sounds cliche, but I promise this is gonna be interesting. I think we'd all agree that things feel shaky out there right now. Raise your hand if there's a version of that for you. Yeah, okay. Good topic then. All right, but first let's look at how we got here, right? 2020, I would describe as what the hell is going on. 2021 was all hands on deck. We saw growth like we've never seen before. 2022, I don't know about you, but for me, it was probably about mid-year. It felt like the tides were maybe turning. Started getting worried, honestly. 2023, I'm trying to think of it as this. Chaos is a ladder. Does anyone know who said this? Yell it out. Littlefinger, our friend from Game of Thrones. Now, I fully acknowledge Littlefinger's not someone that we should be modeling ourselves after. Let's just call that out here, right? His antics led to his demise, and if you haven't seen the show, I'm sorry for the spoiler, but it's been long enough. I would replace chaos with uncertainty. I'd replace ladder with opportunity. But the point is, this is fitting. We can still grow right now, not just this year, but beyond, as long as we think about things a little bit differently, okay? A little washed out, but I'll speak over it. I'm gonna try not to talk about Klaviyo too much today. I will, but not too much. I wanted to share this because I think it contextualizes everything we're gonna go through here. We have about 8,500 actively engaged partners at any given time as part of our program, okay? They're sending business to Klaviyo, they're managing customers on our behalf. Main thing though I wanna call out is you're sharing amazing insights into the market. You are our eyes and ears. This is actually how I develop the majority of my perspective. So what are we hearing? I've talked to a lot of you in the crowd here, and there's one main theme. Winning new business is hard. Simple, right? Now this differs depending on the part of the industry or market, different segments that you play in, maybe the services you offer. But the reality is it's tough for everyone in some way, shape, or form. We know we can't rest on our laurels. What got us here over the last 3 years is not gonna get us where we're going. So what are folks doing about it? 3 things. I'd sum up what I've heard from January 1st, 2023 to now, these 3 ways. Agencies are rethinking their services around personalization. They're trying to diversify, and they're thinking about partnerships differently, okay? We're gonna unpack all 3 of those. So first, rethinking our services around personalization. I'm gonna hit you with 3 stats. First, according to Gartner, marketing leaders struggle with personalization. 63% of them, as part of this study, said that. But what does personalization mean? I just wanna call out, I think we'd all agree here, I hope, personalization cannot happen without data. That is a foundational requirement. Where does that data come from? Answer is everywhere. It's a brand's entire e-commerce stack. We ran a survey with BWG. They're a market research firm in Boston with 500 e-com execs. And 80% of those respondents reported that their current tech stack has issues with data consistency and integrations. 53% of those respondents, they don't have enough engineering or marketing resources to actually run those smoothly. If I'm you, I'm jumping out of my seat. That's how you start conversations today. That's a huge opportunity. So we know data is important. We know personalization is a priority. We know it all needs to come together across a tech stack. We know that brands can't run them effectively right now. Now, I know I said I wouldn't talk about Klaviyo, but I thought this was really relevant. This is how we think about the world, just generally speaking. Bottoms up, you see all of our tech partners. There's 300 plus of them. I love when AB, our co-founder and CEO, says this, but so I hope you all would say that Klaviyo is incredibly powerful. The reality is we are not interesting at all without the data that our partners send us, okay? And you work your way up, you need a database to make sense of all that data. It needs to be clean, needs to be usable, needs to be actionable. You need to be able to learn from it, and that's not just you all pulling data into spreadsheets, making sense of it. We need tools to help you. And the experiences themselves, if you can't take action on that data, it's worth literally nothing. I think that's a lot of what we're seeing today. You need to be able to push those experiences across all channels. That's personalization in a nutshell. And I'd say, as an aside, I don't care if you're talking to Attentive, Klaviyo, Marketing Cloud, ListTrack, Omnisend, you name it. You should be grilling us about all these things. If we don't have good answers, shame on us, honestly. So if there's two things that I'd take away from this first point, it's one, know that selling starts with understanding a brand's data. It's not just about the service that you offer. You're not button pushers, you're experts. Show them you understand this. And then think about where your services fit in the context of personalization. Next point, we're trying to diversify. I think of this two ways. One is new services. There's a natural extension of a lot of the work that you're already doing, okay? So let's say I'm a dev shop. I'm about to launch a new e-com site. I maybe just ran a tech stack audit, and I realized they have a crappy retention strategy. They need Klaviyo. Would it make sense to maybe have or build out a small retention team, put together some core marketing automation, some flows for when they go live? They'll see ROI faster, the value that you're bringing. Another example, I know there's a ton of email or retention agencies in this room. How many of you over, let's say the last 18 months have added SMS to what you're doing? Raise your hand. Awesome, cool. So it's about half the room. And I bet you're making more money because of it, right? I see a big thumbs up in the back, awesome. Point is, there's a natural extension of what you're already doing. And these services you see on the left here, they're very complementary to each other. And the beauty of this is every one of those things, this is all retainer work. That's recurring revenue. It's predictable. It's what we're all looking for, right? So on the right, we have new verticals. And this one might not be as obvious, but I actually had 3 conversations last night. I was pleasantly surprised to see that folks are already doing this. 3 things to take away here, or at least think about. Your expertise is more universal than you think. Klaviyo, we help you build better customer relationships, and then you create kick-ass experiences to bring folks back. That is not dissimilar from a yoga studio or a restaurant or like the hotel chain you're staying at during this trip, right? Second is every new vertical, it equals new TAM. This space is increasingly competitive and it's crowded. It is on the technology side, it is on the service side. That's just the reality. Every new vertical opens up an entirely new customer base that you can sell into and service. We've done the math. This is incredibly exciting. And then lastly, this is my favorite point because I think it represents the biggest opportunity. New verticals, they're more often than not going from 0 to 1. Like literally going from nothing to something, and especially in the context of personalization. They're not thinking in this way. So let's use wellness as the example. According to McKinsey, 88% of health and wellness consumers are prioritizing personalization as much or more than they did 2 or 3 years ago. Make sense? Using a personal anecdote, 5 years ago, I maybe had a yoga studio in the neighborhood where I live in Boston. I can now walk 5 or 10 minutes in any direction, and I can hit 3. Point is, consumers, not just in e-commerce, but all of these spaces, and I hope this is kind of obvious, they have choices. And they're actually making those choices of where they spend their money nearly the exact same way as how they do online. Right? And that's where you can come in. These are the verticals that we as Klaviyo see as amazing opportunities to apply what we're already doing today. We actually already have integrations with a lot of platforms that you see on this slide. We also have good core customer bases, specifically in restaurants and wellness. Now, I would be super surprised if some of you weren't rolling your eyes right now and saying, Klaviyo is getting too big, shiny objects, they're forgetting about their core. It is not true. I just say, nope. Again, we have customers in these spaces, and I can tell you with confidence, we are solving for the exact same use cases here as we do in e-commerce. Third point that I want to talk through is how to think about partnerships differently. Can you tell I made this slide? You can't tell the marketing team, please. I spent way too much time drawing these arrows. So this is how I see the world in regards to like where agencies and different types of agencies fit in to a brand or a customer's journey. Okay? You all fit in somewhere here, everywhere. And it's also very complementary, right? You all are complementary to each other. You might be standing up a website. You might be helping customers find you. You might be helping make them helping them make their first purchase, bringing them back. Maybe you actually run the underlying data structure behind it all, right? Point is, it's actually pretty darn symbiotic. Now, you might be an agency that's picked their lane, that's all you want to do, and you might be really passionate about that. That's awesome, good for you. I'm a little jealous, to be honest. Some of you might already be diversifying like we just talked about, right? Finding those natural extensions of your business to grow. There's also full-service agencies who, I don't know how, you might be doing all of this pretty well as it is. But I do want to acknowledge, and I think you'd agree, doing everything well is hard, and that's okay. I mentioned that my favorite part, or something I'm super impressed with Rachel, is the community that she's built. So, when it comes to partnerships, I don't want you to think about them as you and just a Klaviyo. As much as I would love for you to spend your entire day, every day, thinking about us, that's not going to happen, and shouldn't, to be clear. You should be thinking about partnering with each other. I actually see this happening already, but I do think there's a stigma around it. You're all too competitive. Why? Why not? Would be what I ask. Think about where you fit in this journey, the expertise that you can bring to the table with someone else. Do some account mapping. Figure out what each other's client challenges are. I near guarantee that you might be able to find some opportunities for each other. I didn't grow up in the e-com space. When I joined Klaviyo, like 3.5-ish years ago, it became apparent very quickly what makes this space special is the community around it, right? So I would challenge everyone here today to introduce yourself to your seat neighbor, walk up to someone you don't know during the breaks, have this conversation, or at least start it, and figure out how you can help each other. I hope these 3 things are at a minimum intriguing to you. I feel really, really confident that these are legitimate paths to growth for not just you, not just us, but everyone here moving forward. So that's done. I hope I've done this justice. If you want to unpack anything that we just talked about, I'm going to be here today and all day tomorrow. I'd love to find some time. Also, raise your hand, Klaviyo crew. Cool. Yeah, seek the Klaviyo crew out.